Thank you, Bill, very much. I must admit, I'm a little nervous. Every time I hear a principal say my name, I still get a little shaky. I don't know, it might be a flashback to high school. And I don't know if you saw or not, but once an educator, always an educator. As I was walking up, I thought Bill might hold out his hand and go, over here, Bob, over here. But no, he said, be sure to use your outside voice when you're up there. And I don't know why they think you're not tall, Bill. Microphone seems about perfect to me. As I begin tonight, please excuse my lack of eye contact. I hope it's got my name on here. There's a lesson I learned a long time ago, never put a name tag on, you don't know what it says. And all I know is that I was playing the piano before Bill came over and he said, don't talk too long, I'm going to smash all your dots. I hope that didn't happen. I can't tell if anyone falls asleep out there while I'm speaking, so if I run too long, please would somebody yawn real loud. This may be the most important recognition program of its kind in Van Wert County this year. I know it's a big deal because there are politicians out there who aren't even running for election this year, and they've showed up. This is also going to be one of the shortest award program speeches anywhere. I don't have a teleprompter, so a lot of this is just coming from notes. Join me once again, won't you please, in a big round of applause for all the award winners tonight. I spent a good part of Saturday morning going through the resumes, and I must admit my computer screen reader that I used to read text had some real problems with a couple of the names. Tony Aquaviva really threw it for a curve, but Tony, I am so proud of you and the rest of the finalists this year. What a tremendous group of people you are. And regardless of what we hear from the naysayers and those who forecast doom and gloom for our society, the future ought to look really bright to you, and it sounds really bright to me, particularly when we know we're going to have young people like this contributing to our society. I know I feel a lot better about the future after reading about these young people. The adversity that the 10 of you have faced has made you worthy recipients of tonight's honors, but more importantly, it's going to serve you well regardless of where your career path takes you. In my case, it's overcoming obstacles that others might consider insurmountable that's made me the man I am tonight. It's responding to comments like, blind people can't do that, with, yes, I can, that's given me some of the greatest satisfaction of my life. You've learned about some of the past struggles which have faced the disadvantaged and minority groups in the United States in school, I'm sure, but what you haven't been told that as recently as the early 1960s, public schools in Ohio and the country could refuse to let blind students attend regular classes. That was my case with the city schools in Delphus. And it was only after a lot of hard work and negotiations between my parents and the officials at St. John's that I was allowed to attend school there. I had to learn to read and write Braille, to type on a regular typewriter before I could enter first grade. My parents had to agree to supervise me at recesses and all other times when a teacher wouldn't be present in first and second grades, and my parents had to agree to pay for all the Braille books I would need. In school, I had to take all the classes the other kids did. That included phys ed and geometry and algebra. I'm horrible at 2 out of the 3. And if some of you older folks remember that back in the day, as we like to say, we had to take the book part of driver's training. Remember that? It was part of the high school curriculum. And my teacher at St. John's was legendary basketball coach Bob Arnzen. And through his help, no cheating, I got 100 on the written part of the test. And I thought it'd be kind of neat to see if I could get passed for the driver's license. So some good friends of mine and myself went to the driver's exam station, which used to be in Lima, and there were 4 of us, so I went number 4, and I listened to the 3 other kids read the eye chart, and I memorized enough of the eye chart that I put my hands on my knees and read the eye chart, and I did just fine. The only problem was I was looking at the wrong wall. True story. I could never lie with a good father here. Up until the mid-1960s, most blind kids in Ohio attended the School for the Blind in Columbus. And early on, my parents thought perhaps that might be the best place for me. I remember very vividly being about 4 years old and going to down in Columbus where they would do these aptitude tests, I guess, to see if I could hammer a square peg into a round hole, or I'm not sure what exactly it was that I was supposed to do, but I guess I did okay. And at the end of the day, I remember the instructor at the school, the superintendent, saying, well, your son is more than welcome to start school here next year. And my father said, no, this is not the place for my son. And I didn't understand why until later. At the School for the Blind, which is a very fine institution, I have some very good friends who attended there. It is a residential school, and the dormitories are connected to the main school building by sidewalks, which are covered with roofs. Those roofs are held up by pillars. And at the blind school, those pillars had covering on them with a cushioned covering. My father said that he did not want me to attend school there because he reasoned that someone who's blind has to learn that it hurts when you run into a pillar so you don't run into it anymore. And I've lived with that lesson my entire life, as well as a few bumps and bruises, which I've always healed. I have never forgotten that lesson from this point. It is often the pain that we experience that helps us to become better people. From my earliest memories, I know that self-reliance is important, but I wanted to be on the radio. My dad would go to garage sales and he'd pick up old radios and I'd tear them apart, but I could never put them back together. So I thought that being on the radio made a whole lot more sense to me. I took a part-time job as a junior in high school at WDOH. I learned my craft, made many mistakes that went on with being on the air with on-the-job experience. I learned the joy that comes with work, as many as you have. I learned the joy of doing a job very well, but more importantly, I learned to grow from the mistakes I made and to strive for constant improvement. My career has allowed me to learn from mentors I heard on the radio as a kid, to interact with community leaders. I've had an opportunity to help a lot of people too, but I could have accomplished nothing and would not be here tonight without the support of my family growing up, and most importantly, my wife, Kathy, who's not here tonight. Together, we are a team, whether it's managing our household, working together on many community volunteer projects, or in raising our kids who are now fully grown. We are part of a team. Regardless of who you are, where you go to school, regardless of what career choices you make, none will be more important than your decision as to who is on your team. The kind of people you surround yourself with professionally and personally will make a huge difference. Spend too much time with the miserable, with the unhappy, with those who expect something for nothing, and you'll soon find their negativity brings you down. Each day I look forward to every day and the challenges that day is going to provide. I'm not sad that I can't see. I don't want your pity, nor should I expect it. You young people are all very busy, and I notice community involvement is part of every one of your resumes. You and I and everyone in this room, regardless of our age, our abilities, our disabilities, have an obligation to leave this world a better place than we found it. Nothing will give you more satisfaction than making a difference, especially when you do so in someone's life without recognition. You and I can have something in common. You can deal with everyone you meet as if you were colorblind. You can learn to disregard how someone looks and instead learn what's inside them. You can learn something new every day. This week I've learned about the red stripes on a barber pole that come because the fact 300 years ago the barber was also the doctor and the bloody bandages would hang on his pole to dry. I watched Pawn Stars the other night. Hey, I'm all about education. Today I learned the path Christ took to crucifixion was only about a half-mile long. And tonight I learned that apparently the right side of my brain doesn't work very well. The whole visual thing, I always wondered how that worked. There are people in society who think America's best days are behind us. That does not have to be the case. People were saying the same thing when this award was first handed out early in the 1970s. But our generation proved them wrong, and your generation can do the same. As your life goes on, boys and girls, you're going to face challenges, adversity, and hardships, believe it or not, that will make those you've lived through seem pale by comparison. I encourage you to learn to ask or continue to ask for help in prayer. Just because I can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Prayer has been a tremendous help to me when I face difficulty or hardships in my life, and also when I'm trying to work on a speech that makes sense, which I hope I've done tonight. Remember that faith and family and citizenship and patriotism are among the things that will help you make a very important contribution. They'll play a more important role in your happiness than all the money you have in the bank or the degree letters behind your name. Some of you have overcome significant struggles. Remember that when someone who is handicapped or disabled comes looking for a job and you have an obligation or responsibility, we do not deserve preferential treatment, just an equal shot. Thanks to the Thompson family and the Van Wert County Foundation, the Van Wert Service Club for inviting me tonight. It's a true honor and a pleasure to get to say a few words to an outstanding group of young people who make us all very proud and all very optimistic about the future. And I am positive that we will continue to hear great things about you 10 finalists in the future. Thank you very much.